My name is Shilpa. If I asked you, what would you think if I told you that 80% of the Indian workforce has been struggling with mental health issues in some form, and this has significantly impacted the economic outcome of organizations? What can be said for sure is that this is significant, isn't it? And to understand more and to talk about it, we have with us today a very special guest, Ashish Matri. Hi, Ashish.
Hi, Shilpa.
Ashish, just to give you a brief introduction about him, he is a very experienced counselor, and he has had 25 years of experience across various sectors dedicated to empowering personal growth and transformation. And with personal therapy, with counseling, he has had an experience of about 4 to 5 years. So, Ashish, thank you so much for joining us on this very important topic of impact of employee well-being on organizational culture. But before we talk more about that, could you help us unpack a little bit about what does mental health really encompass? What is it about?
Yeah, I mean, there's so much being talked about mental health. Sometimes even I wonder what is it has. But I think for me, it's, there are a bunch of misconceptions about mental health, which is associated more around depression and mental illness. But I do think mental health involves a lot more. And for me, to make it simpler, I always look at it from three perspectives. One is emotional, psychological, and social. So when I say emotional, what I mean by, your emotional, managing your own emotions. What are the feelings that are coming up for you and how you are able to accept them or manage them? Or do you end up suppressing them? Right? When I talk about psychological, it's more cognitive part of it in terms of how you're thinking, how you're learning things, how you're negotiating things, all those kind of skills that fall into more in that cognitive kind of space. And third is more of social. So in terms of how do you really see the world around you? How do you find yourself as a part of this world? What sense of community that you have? And all these three factors kind of define for me what is a good mental health maybe. It need not be about necessarily happiness. It need not be about being excited, all that. Like not the typical definition of mental health doesn't mean necessarily being happy. But are these factors in your life are in kind of balance with each other?
And the three factors you're talking about are, like you said, the emotional. How can we manage and regulate our emotions? The cognitive, the thinking. And the third area was
social, more of community.
Relationships, community.
More of your place in the world.
Your place in the world. And would that include knowing who you are, your identity, your meaning, your purpose?
Absolutely.
Include all that?
Yeah. Like acceptance by the world, your purpose in the world, the sense of connection with your friends and relationships, extended family, even at work for that matter. What quality of relationship you have, all of that would come under social.
So when we say that someone goes through mental health challenges or issues, would it be right to say, based on the way you define mental health, is that in one of these or more areas, the balance goes awry? Is it?
Absolutely. I think the word balance is important. And again, balance is a perception. You don't have it all the time. But as a person, do you feel that you have access to three of these things, three of these factors, and are they in general balance with each other? Though all of this is also affected by other factors that may be in your control, may not be in your control. For example, biological factors that are not often in your control. Life experience in terms of what you have really been through in life. Not all of it is in your control. Where were you born, the family that you weren't born in, or what financial conditions you were born in, and what kind of access did you have while growing up to develop a personality or even exposure that you had to the world. All of that not necessarily always in your control. So so that's those are the factors also impact these three states, if you will.
So if we were to now narrow it down to the workspace,
Mhm.
what, in your opinion and your experience, are some of the reasons why employees experience
Hmm.
health challenges and issues? What are some of them?
Yeah, so I do think that what happens at workplace, because people end up spending large amount of their time at their workspace. And if you look at, in fact, even amount of interaction that you have in a day, maximum amount of interaction you have at work, it's more than one third of your day you spend at your work, but the quality of interaction is much more higher at work. Quantity, not quality, I might. Um, and I think everything that is happening in your personal life affects your work, and what is happening at work definitely affects you. Um, if you know, when the research says that around over 14% of people experience mental health problems in the workplace, at, and 14% is quite a large population at a workplace, because employees end up spending most of their time there. And research really shows that people struggling with mental health requires much more effort to carry out their work responsibilities, including whether it's a creative work, there is negotiation, or, whether it's even working in a team, um, and even asking, asserting yourself at work and all those kind of things. Um, I think people who struggle with mental health issues almost spends about 23% of lesser effect trying to get a better quality of work done at work. And so that can impact the bottom line of an organization pretty big way.
I said that some couple of issues that I know that the workplace an employee struggles with due to stresses, burnout and being able to hold boundaries. And other issues that they go through besides burnout and holding boundaries.
Right. So we're talking about what are the other issues that people may be facing, what situations there may be that people might be struggling with at workplace. Is that right?
Like depression, anxiety is a given.
Right.
What else?
Correct. So yeah, other than depression, anxiety, there are other things that people can suffer at workplaces. Simple things like common disagreements or even working style not being matched, whether with your boss or whether with your team, can create a large amount of stress. The aggressive goals, today organizations are working at such a fast pace that it's not always easy for all the personality types or everyone to keep up with the organizational pace of growing. So that can create a heavy level of stress. Conflict in belief system at times can be difficult. Your identity is not accepted at workplace. For example, we're talking about diversity and inclusion, that part of it. You've been coming from, a particular region, or, whether it's your orientation or whether it's your language, all of that can definitely create conflicts at workplace. And so they may be resolved by managers, etc. But meanwhile, an employee can really suffer the consequences of these conflicts. And not everybody always have the right state of mind to be able to deal with this conflict without any support on their own.
So, what can organizations do to support the mental health and the well-being of their employees? And what are cultural changes or small shifts even? We're talking about, we're not talking about changing the world in a day, but what are small steps that an organization can take to change the culture and support the well-being of their employees, mental well-being of their employees?
Yeah, that's a very good question you asked, Shilpa, because in today's, whether you're corporate, whether you're a startup, whether you're a small business, you can't be not talking about mental health at workplace. So first thing that they can do is start talking about it, right? And that's the culture is a massive step for us in India particularly, or generally in Asia. So first is start talking about it. How do you really talk about mental health? From managers one-on-ones to talking in team meetings. But I think organization can do a lot more in this space. One of the things that they can do is start providing mental health resources. So whether it's training, and I think in some way corporate training kind of touches on competencies. to improve competencies, like how to negotiate better at workplace. So training is one part, but to create spaces where employees can talk to each other about their mental health struggle, um, talk about difficulties that they may have on personal level, create go-to people. Um, for example, having an onboard therapist, right? Or an organization that provides mental health support like EAPs, employee assistance programs, creating supporting working environment where somebody who's not able to do well in particular way and not quickly assigning a label, but actually taking a time to understand what's going on. Promoting some level of work-life balance, in whatever best way they can. Um, Creating more wellness programs, offering trainings that are specifically into mental health space. For example, something simple as assertiveness training. Right? That could go in such a long way that often people who are from collective cultures like ours find it very hard to sort of talk about what they're really feeling or what they're struggling with or with an idea or even challenging an idea. And assertiveness training can go far in that which can really help boost not only creativity but innovation in an organization, right? I think the list can just go on. There are so many things that organizations can do, and the benefits are also so many.
Right. But what I'm hearing is at a culture level is to create a culture of safety,
Excellent. Yeah.
ability, right? Some degree of collaboration,
Yeah.
create space for innovation, and provide them support in the form of, you said, onboard therapists, like people go to people,
Right.
trainings, create education and awareness, right? These are some very basic things.
Absolutely.
And of course, the ladder can
Right.
keep scaling.
And if you look at today, Shilpa, very top organization, they're striving hard to do these things. So it's not a secret. It's something out there that organization need to really adapt to, so they can really get best out of their employees.
Well, so thanks a lot, Ashish. And before we close, if there's one thing you would want to tell an organization with regard to the topic we are on, if there's one thing that you would want to tell them, what is it that you want to say?
Yeah, I would just say that investing in mental health related programs, investing in mental health of your employee may look initially fairly daunting, but now more than ever, there are organizations, are there who can really help you to get kickstarted, and if you do this, the benefits are not only necessarily long term, but very short term. You will see a very quick turnaround, and not only the wellness of organization, but the wellness of employee and the impact that you can create on their families, in their community. That could be so big. So while we have CSR budgets and other things, mental health, investing in mental health has so many multifold benefits. But only when they do it, they will realize the transformation an organization can go through.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Ashish.
Thank you, Shilpa.
And like Ashish said, there are organizations that can help you do this. So please feel free to reach out to us, connect to us, and we'll help you get there. Thank you.